Tonight,
there's parents that are out of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we know that. I'm fully aware of that.
teachers left in limbo, and parents out large sums of money. CTV News sits down with the owner of the now closed Sylvan Learning Centre to find out what happened. Also tonight, new rules for those heading stateside.
You know, there's a lot of confusion right now at the border.
What snowbirds and others need to know if you're planning an extended trip to the U.S. Plus,
there hasn't been a new grocery store or new retail in the area for a long time.
What's in store for a major new development in St. Boniface?
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Parents are frustrated, staff are jobless, and both are out thousands of dollars. Tonight, we're getting some long-awaited answers about the abrupt closure in August of Winnipeg's Sylvan Learning Centres. After a request by CTV, the owner of the local tutoring franchise agreed to a sit-down interview. CTV's Joseph Bernacki had some tough questions for him and joins us now live. So, Joseph, what did he have to say about all this?
Marilee, Les Redlinghughes acknowledged he owes both parents and his staff a lot of money, but says he has nothing left, claiming to have lost everything. He blames the cancellation of a government program for his financial ruin, but told me he's not giving up, saying he's still working on finding a solution.
To me, it's sort of still like, I can't believe it's going to just be gone.
Teacher Trina Knight has worked with Sylvan Learning Centre for 2 decades. This summer, her location closed temporarily, and she could tell something was up.
It was kind of like a period of limbo where the teachers that were still left, the ones that hadn't walked out, we really didn't know what to do.
Hours were cut and some staff left. But Knight says she stayed because she loved her job. Owner Les Redlinghughes stopped communicating and closed the doors. So she filed with the Provincial Employment Standards Office to get paid. Now she has 2 judgments totaling more than $4,000.
It's been very challenging. There's no money coming in. I actually had to move.
Les Redlinghughes has been the franchise owner of both Sylvan locations since 2020.
I mean, it's been horrible. This hasn't been good. I don't have any backup plan. I haven't stolen money. I haven't got a fund somewhere where I've taken all the people's money and put it anywhere. I've put every single thing. I've actually sold my house and put the money in this business to keep it going.
He says the federal department in charge of Jordan's principal is to blame for the business losses. He said 90% of the kids in the program were First Nations and funded by the government while under the administration of the Southern Chiefs organization. But when ISC pulled the funding from SCO in early spring, he knew there would be trouble.
They got an email from ISC saying that there's no more funding for any Indigenous child in the whole of Manitoba. It's all being cancelled and we have to stop immediately. So you tell me, how do you stop a business immediately?
SCO did not respond to our inquiry. ISC told us they could not comment on this specific case or say how much Redlinghughes is owed. Now he says he's busy looking at other funding to pay people back.
Well, if the funding comes through, 100%, I'll even give them a bonus. If the funding comes.
Knight said the lack of communication on Redlinghughes' part caused a lot of confusion.
I would have had so much respect for him if he would have just come out and said, this is what's happening. We all need to prepare.
While he insists he is trying to make right.
There's parents that are out of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we know that. I'm fully aware of that. Yeah.
What would you say to parents?
I'm busy organising funding.
Redlinghughes is also being sued for more than $78,000 by the Business Development Bank of Canada over outstanding loan payments.
So, Joseph, what about all these kids that need tutoring?
Marilee, Knight says she's been reaching out to former Sylvan parents, trying to update them on what happened, offering her services privately. Indigenous Services Canada wouldn't tell us how many kids are left without lessons, citing privacy concerns. So far, Knight has 5 former students and is looking for more.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. A major infill project in St. Boniface will be anchored by a grocery store. Shindico is one of the developers behind the Water Tower District plan at Marion and Archibald. As CTV's Jeff Keel shows you now, the developer says a portion of the land will include one of the big grocery chains.
The Canada Packers meat plant in St. Boniface was imploded in 2001. Left behind since then an empty site, 165 acres. But now, development plans are taking shape.
A very nice addition to an infill place, It's always been there.
Shindico says it's acquired 14 acres to start the retail component of the project in 2027. Area businesses and residents can expect restaurants, drive-thrus, and a 30 to 40,000 square foot anchor tenant, a grocery store. The developer says they're reaching out to the big chains like Safeway, Co-op, Sobeys, and Loblaws.
There's enough market share, and there hasn't been a new grocery store or new retail in the area for a long time.
The property, known as the Water Tower District at Marion and Archibald, will also include hundreds of residential units, offices, industrial lots, and park space, so customers for the retailers are built in.
People have to see the rooftops. People have to see the customers.
But traffic is already a concern for many who use this intersection, especially when trains bog things down.
Together with the residential across the street, it's going to be a crazy corner.
Joe Cesahai, who owns this auto body shop on Marion near Archibald, says adding thousands more people to the mix will make things worse for drivers and his customers.
It's very difficult, turning into the lot here. Most of the times we have to ask them to go to the back.
He'd like to see an underpass constructed and the street widened. City Council long ago abandoned plans for an underpass because of the massive price tag. Shindico says the development won't have a major impact on traffic.
Traffic studies have been done. People, instead of driving by, will drive in.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba's progressive Conservatives are calling foul over the NDP's plans to develop an extended drug detox centre in Point Douglas. But those concerns may just be a clerical error over at City Hall. Let's bring in CTV's Taylor Brock now to explain. Taylor, let's start with the PCs and what prompted their concerns in the first place.
Well, Mayoralty PC leader Abi Khan called a press conference this afternoon after the party looked into the building permits issued for the site at 190 Disraeli. As you can see from this screenshot of the city's permitting website, one of the permits issued last week includes a description that says addition of 20 safe consumption rooms and staff facilities. Now, this outraged the PCs, who pointed out the premier previously said the site would not include any safe consumption sites and was strictly aimed at providing a detention space for people to come off heavy drugs such as meth. However, by later this afternoon, the information on the permitting website changed. The site no longer makes any mention of safe consumption sites, and the city issued a media release clarifying no permits for safe consumption sites at 190 Disraeli had been issued, and explained someone incorrectly wrote the word consumption rather than sobering. The PCs, however, maintain Manitobans deserve a clear explanation.
Now, less than an hour ago, but after our press conference was called, magically, somehow, the permits have now been changed online. The NDP changed it. Did they change it because they were caught? Did they change it because we called a press conference and they knew they were going to be caught? How do you possibly mix up a detox center and a drug consumption space?
The Disraeli location currently houses a 24/7 shelter, and the premier is eyeing it to house a 20-space facility for those on meth and other strong drugs, with plans to add another 20 spaces early in the new year.
NDP, what do the NDP have to say about all of this?
Well, Mayoralty received a statement from Housing, Addictions and Homelessness Minister Bernadette Smith just a short while ago, actually. She says, quote, the Tories need to stop playing games and that 190 Disraeli is the site of a sobering centre, not a supervised consumption site. She says the city already corrected an external party error on the permit, and their focus remains making sure Manitobans get the help they need.
All right, thanks for this, Taylor. Police have arrested and charged 2 men in connection with a homicide that happened more than 2 years ago. 33-year-old Tremaine Travers was found dead at a hotel in the 600 block of Main Street in March of 2023. Winnipeg police deemed the death a homicide, and today police announced they've arrested 2 men. 36-year-old Dion Trent Spotted Eagle is charged with second-degree murder, and 34-year-old Harry Andrew Bittern is charged with aggravated assault. Both men are in custody. Police say the victim knew the accused when he was murdered. None of the allegations have been tested in court. A Blue Rodeo musician is singing the blues tonight after visiting the Forks Friday and having his bike stolen. Guitarist Jim Boskill was spending the day with bandmates when it happened. A post on the band's social media page says the bike holds a lot of personal value and is asking people to keep an eye out for it. The bike is described as a red Dayhan folding bicycle. If you spot it, you're asked to reach out to Blue Rodeo directly. Despite the theft, frontman Jim Cuddy is still praising Winnipeg.
I think a lot of cities could learn from the preservation of fine old things in Winnipeg. There's a reason why Winnipeggers who move elsewhere want to end up in Winnipeg. No, it's a very special city.
Monday night was the last of 3 Blue Rodeo shows at Burton Cummings Theatre. Let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. What are you tracking for us tonight, Colleen?
Well, first of all, if you couldn't like Jim Cuddy anymore, I mean, my goodness, he is an honorary Winnipegger for
hopefully someone can get that bike back.
I hope so. Yeah, that's too bad to see that, but hopefully it's on its way back. Contact the band if you see that bike. As for the conditions today, you noticed it was quite cool out there, but dry after that low pressure system that went through yesterday brought the rain. That rain now headed east, where it's still falling, the rain that is in Dryden, but it wasn't just rain falling earlier on the radar. Snow was picking up just to the west of Dryden, down almost to Fort Francis. But I'll have a look at the rest of the week. It's going to be a little coolish for another couple days yet, but then we will see a very nice weekend. And even before that, temperatures will start to warm up too. First, let's take a look through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, it's cloudy and 5 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 28 kilometers an hour. The pressure's rising and the humidity right now, merrily, is 83%.
Thanks, Colleen. A warning from the city today about high bacteria levels in the Red River. The city has installed signs, just like these ones, on trails, boat docks, and parks that are within 3 kilometers downstream of the North End wastewater treatment plant. This is because the plant's UV treatment system has been turned off while it gets an upgrade. UV light inactivates bacteria and viruses like E. coli and fecal coliform. So the city is recommending you avoid direct contact with river water. If you do come in contact, you should wash your hands with soap. Use safe food handling practices when consuming fish from the river, and don't let your pets come into contact with or drink river water. The UV treatment system is expected to be up and running again in March. Meanwhile, the city says power failures at 2 lift stations sent more than 200,000 liters of raw sewage into the Red River over the weekend. One outage happened Friday at the Marion lift station on Lyndale Drive. The city says an estimated 140,000 liters of untreated wastewater emptied into the Red River before crews could get power back on again. The second incident happened Saturday at the St. Norbert lift station. Around 80,000 liters of sewage spilled into the Red River before crews could shut off the valve and restore power. Snowbirds flocking south for warmer weather are being met with a new process. Some Canadians are being fingerprinted and photographed at the border. CTV's Harrison Shin explains why.
Oa Schleikia and Yvonne Fosti flock to Scottsdale, Arizona nearly every winter, trying to escape the snow. Like so many other snowbirds, autumn is when they cross into the United States.
We stay approximately 5 months plus, 5 months.
Over the years, we've developed friendships that are valuable to us, so we enjoy our circle of friends.
Back in the spring, the U.S. government put in an order that foreigners, including Canadians, who stay more than 30 days, need to register their fingerprints and have their photo taken. Stephen Fine from Snowbird Advisor says he is hearing from some snowbirds that the law is being enforced at some crossings.
Some people at the border are being required to obtain an I-94 at the border, which requires you to be fingerprinted, have your picture taken, and there's a $30 U.S. Fee per person.
Fine says this practice isn't happening in every border crossing. It can vary from location to location and even depend on the individual officer. That is leading to confusion and inconsistency. He says be prepared for whichever option the officer exercises.
From what we've heard and seen so far, nobody's been rejected at the border. They've just had to go through a process they may not have been aware they had to go through.
For the snowbirding couple Schleikia and Fosti, the requirements are not a big deal to them. They will be ready for whatever they encounter on their way south.
I had to get photographed and fingerprinted all the time when I went to the States.
I respect their country. They want to know who's in their country, how long they're staying, and I have absolutely no problem with that.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Thousands of dollars worth of American booze has gone down the drain as a result of the province's decision to retaliate against U.S. tariffs. Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries confirms more than $26,000 worth of expired wine and creme liqueurs were thrown out after being pulled from shelves earlier this year. The province says it was purchased before the ban went into effect. The Premier ordered Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries to stop selling U.S. products back in February in response to steep U.S. duties on Canadian products. At the time, Wab Canoe estimated it would take an $80 million bite out of the American liquor industry. Pushing for bail reform. Winnipeg's mayor was in Ottawa today urging parliamentarians to use the bail system to crack down on repeat violent offenders.
To change, but at the end of the day, we need safer communities. And in my mind, it starts with changes to the Bail and Sentencing Act.
Scott Gillingham appeared before the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights to represent Manitoba mayors. The mayor has been calling for bail reform for months, even sending out weekly bulletins highlighting crimes being committed by people out on bail. Gillingham says he asked for public safety to be at the forefront when considering bail, saying everyone has a role to play in community safety.
We tried to make the case from kind of the street level community perspective of what we're seeing as mayors and what I'm seeing as a mayor in Winnipeg, but the fact that our police services are rearresting the same individuals time and time again, many of whom were out on bail and breaching their court orders. And every time that happens, especially with violent offenders, we put our frontline service members at risk.
The bill before Parliament is set to include reverse onus bail for major crimes, allow for consecutive sentencing, and impose harsher penalties for organized retail theft. The bill is set to be tabled this week. A popular pumpkin patch in St. Andrews says this is its last season. Schwabe Pumpkins shared the news in a social media post Sunday. It comes more than a month after a September frost forced an early harvest. The family farm has been in business since 2005. Schwabe Pumpkins didn't give a reason for the closure or share exactly when its last day will be. CTV News has reached out for more information. A Hindu festival is lighting up the Winnipeg sky this week. Last night's rain did not stop this Diwali fireworks display. More than 1,000 people gathered at the Hindu temple on St. Anne's Road to take in the festivities and the food. Hindu Society President Anita Roy says Diwali celebrates prosperity and light over darkness.
It's bring the family together. We celebrate together Diwali, and it's the main celebration of the lights. We lamp the light, but in the temple we can't lamp, so we do the like the electronic one for the lamping. Yeah, because of the fire regulation. And yeah, it's just celebrate together. It's bring everybody close together.
Celebrations continue tonight and include a fireworks display in Waverly West at Bison Run School on Frontier Trail. That show had to be postponed due to last night's rain. It starts tonight at 8:30 and everyone is welcome. Well, it's already being called the crime of the century, and experts are warning the odds of recovering the priceless stolen jewels from the Louvre is diminishing by the hour. How the heist unfolded and where the investigation is now when we return.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
Our province had the second highest rate of inflation in September. New data from Statistics Canada shows the rate surged almost a whole percentage point to 2.9%. That's the highest rate outside of Quebec and ahead of the 2.4% national average. Statistics Canada says the consumer price index rose due to a mixture of smaller drops in the price of gasoline and a 4% increase in food prices. Turning to the markets now, crude oil added 22 cents. The Canadian dollar up slightly. Gold plunged 250 points. The TSX fell 527 points. The Dow Jones rose 218 points while the Nasdaq was down 36 points. If you've ever tried to reach the Canada Revenue Agency and been frustrated by the slow response, maybe even found some of the answers you get fall short or are simply wrong, you are not alone. Canada's Auditor General released a troubling report today highlighting the failure of the CRA to do the job well. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the details.
You don't need to be sidelined, you don't need to be stalled, you don't need to be dropped. You need to be dealt with and worked with.
David Cornish is not surprised by the Auditor General's findings about shortcomings at the Canada Revenue Agency. He's spent enough time trying to get through himself.
Hours and hours, and then dropped. And the next day, hours and hours, and then dropped.
Even if you have to wait, when you get through, you should get an accurate response.
The report found during test calls, non-specific questions about benefits fared the best, but callers only got accurate information 56% of the time. Business tax questions were only 54% accurate. And at the bottom of the barrel, non-account specific individual tax questions answered correctly only 17% of the time. Put another way, if you ask a general question about your individual taxes, you have an 83% chance of getting a wrong answer from the Canada Revenue Agency.
We found that the accuracy was much higher when questions pertain to specific accounts.
Why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
We are holding CRA to account. The 100-day plan is showing, I think, spectacular results so far. We've got a lot of work to do.
The government says they've already hired more employees and beat their own goal, which was to have 70% of calls answered at all. The latest data from 2 weeks ago puts calls answered at 90%. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
General Motors says it will stop production of its Bright Drop electric delivery van in Ingersoll, Ontario. And tonight, Industry Minister Melanie Joly says she's working on a plan to help the workers affected.
That's a decision they took. Of course, we'll hold them to account for any support we've given them to develop that model. But at the same time, we are creating a response group to make sure that we're bringing a new model, because the 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll plant need to know that we're fighting for their jobs.
GM says it's stopping production because there's low demand for the van. It's specified it's not moving production elsewhere. Production at the plant was first stopped in April with plans to restart in November with a single shift. About 1,200 unionized workers were employed at the plant when production was suspended. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is in Israel. It's part of American efforts to try and keep the Gaza ceasefire from collapsing.
I feel confident that we're going to be in a place where this peace lasts, where it's durable, and if Hamas doesn't cooperate, then as the President of the United States has said, Hamas is going to be obliterated.
Today, Vance met with Israeli and American officials. He will visit the headquarters of the U.S.-led task force, which is being developed to oversee the implementation of the ceasefire. Tomorrow, he meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy began his 5-year prison sentence today. He was convicted of illegal fundraising. Sarkozy is now 70 years old. He was cheered by supporters as he and his wife left their home and headed to a prison in Paris. Sarkozy has denied any wrongdoing in the case. It's alleged his 2007 presidential campaign took in millions of dollars from the then Libyan leader. Japan's parliament has elected that country's first female prime minister. 64-year-old Sene Takakashi won a clear majority as leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. She takes over at a time when Japan grapples with a rising cost of living. She also faces challenges abroad and will meet with Donald Trump next week. There are still no arrests following the jewelry heist at the Louvre in Paris. And experts fear as more time goes by, the priceless gems might be cut up and sold. James Longman has the latest.
ABC News, the first network inside the Louvre since that stunning daylight heist. We're led to the rotunda right outside the hall where the jewels were taken.
Right outside the Apollo Gallery. And I can see right through into the main area. It's a huge vaulted gallery, incredible gilded ceilings. They came in through the window at the far end.
The elaborate doors closed and barred. Inside, still a crime scene. The chair alongside, where security may have sat on that fateful morning, empty. Security personnel moved between these rooms. When the thieves broke in, they threatened the guards stationed inside, who then rushed to evacuate the museum.
This is the busy road the thieves came down. Remember, we are right in the heart of Paris. They parked up here, placed that mechanical ladder up against the balcony, and you can see the broken window where they made entry. Madame la Ministre, James.
Grand moment d'émotion, un grand moment de bouleversement.
France's culture minister calling the raid an attack on French history and culture, and that the thieves spent just 3 minutes and 50 seconds inside the Apollo Gallery. The race is on to find 8 of France's priceless crown jewels, including this diamond and pearl tiara, sapphire and emerald earrings, and this elaborate brooch encrusted in more than 2,400 diamonds. But the thieves did leave behind their gloves, gasoline and a blowtorch, all now undergoing DNA analysis. Experts say the chance of finding the loot in its original form diminishes by the hour, fearing the jewellery could be melted down and sold on the black market. This as growing concerns surround the security at the largest art museum in the world, where over 8 million people visited last year. ABC News obtaining an unreleased report filed before the robbery by France's supreme auditing institution, finding the Louvre has a significant delay in deployment of equipment intended to ensure the protection of works.
Well, authorities tracked the gang as they left Paris. They headed south, but of course now they could be out of the country altogether, which is why teams from around the world, art theft experts, are part of the teams trying to track these people down. James Longman, ABC News at the Louvre.
Everyone is talking about the Toronto Blue Jays.
It is exciting. It's edge of your seat stuff, and I hope it continues for another 4 wins for the Jays.
The Jays' big win is having a big local impact. We're going to show you how coming up after the break.
And now that we're pushing into late October, the normal daytime high for Winnipeg is right around 8 degrees, and that's where we should land on Thursday under a mix of sun and cloud, then back to double digits. Friday, 11 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud, and look at the weekend. Sunny Saturday, 15 degrees, 14 on Sunday, but cloudy. But did I mention 14 degrees? Showers likely to return on Monday with another double-digit high of 11. It was a moment many Winnipeg Jets fans were waiting for.
Crisp pass back. Niederreiter to Pionk. Wrist it through. They score! And there it is. Jonathan Toews with his first goal.
That's Save Patel's Jonathan Toews scoring his first regular season goal as a Winnipeg Jet. The goal helped the Jets beat the Calgary Flames 2-1. Mark Scheifele scored the other Jets goal, his 5th in 5 straight games. Winnipeg hosts the Seattle Kraken Thursday night. Baseball fever is sweeping the country tonight. The Toronto Blue Jays punched their ticket to the World Series in dramatic fashion last night. CTV's Daniel Helmerson caught up with fans here to talk about the historic night and what's still to come.
It was the shot heard round the country, a 3-run blast by George Springer to help send the Toronto Blue Jays to the World Series for the first time since 1993.
This is a chance in a lifetime. We were like 32 years ago, we were young and thought this was going to happen all the time, and it just doesn't.
For Winnipeggers like Carl Carlson, the Jays' Game 7 win against the Seattle Mariners was a moment he won't soon forget. And Carlson hopes to make even more baseball memories when he travels to the Big Smoke for Game 1 against the Los Angeles Dodgers with his brothers and dad.
My dad's 91 years old, and he's been a baseball fan all his life. He, grew up playing, and then he went into coaching and umping, and he's a huge fan of the Blue Jays.
And this historic postseason run isn't only for lifelong Blue Jays fans. Players like Springer and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. are quickly becoming household names on the prairies.
Phone calls before the store even opens. There's people coming in who weren't even Jays fans before, but now it's becoming a bigger thing now that they're going to the World Series.
Matt Berriger from Royal Sports on Pembina says Jays jerseys, hats, and shirts are flying off the racks, and he expects gear like bats and gloves will be hot sellers this holiday season.
I think it's going to kind of make kids want to play sport more. They see how cool it is to be in the MLB.
And that could be good news for the game right here in our own backyard. The Winnipeg Goldeyes hope baseball fever sticks around for the long run.
I guess we'll have to wait and see until next spring. exciting, but I think there's become a lot more baseball fans over these last couple weeks.
And there's certainly a good chance even more baseball fans are born in the next couple weeks.
It is exciting. It's edge of your seat stuff, and I hope it continues for another 4 wins for the Jays.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
And speaking of baseball, the Winnipeg Goldeyes season is over, but the team is already looking forward to next summer. The 2026 regular season schedule is now out.
And Nishko is swung on and in the center field.
The first of 100 games is May 15th in Milwaukee with a home opener May 19th featuring the Goldeyes jersey giveaway and fireworks. There's 7 fireworks displays during the season. The Goldeyes will play 50 games at Winnipeg's Blue Cross Park. Winnipeg will once again play at home for Canada Day, and schedule will also feature the return of several familiar promotional games, including a Father's Day game on June 21st, Bark in the Park, and a Manitoba Social Night.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Still a bit wet out there for baseball tonight, but maybe by the weekend you can get in a game.
Lots of sunshine, a beautiful weekend on tap for Winnipeg. But speaking of those wet conditions, we had the rain that came across southern Manitoba yesterday, but with just enough clearing tonight and these strong winds today easing up late tonight. Don't be surprised if some fog pops up here and there, more so in the southwest, but possibly up in the northwest as well. I'll show you that in just a moment. But here's a look at the satellite radar. Not much to see here, folks. The winds, they're diminishing, very strong, as you know, if you were outside today. They're now coming out of the northwest, starting to ease up, and they will even more so. Otherwise cloudy, a little bit clearer that you can see there between Portage La Prairie and Brandon. But that low pressure system has moved off to the east, still sending rain into places like Dryden. Now, over the noon hour, it was very clear on the radar west of Dryden down to just north of Fort Francis. There was snow falling there, but the center of this low pressure system is now spinning out over Lake Superior. So you can see that rotation and much heavier rain falling through places like Thunder Bay. That will continue to be on the move further east over the next few hours. So still some rain for tonight for northwestern Ontario, maybe a bit into tomorrow as that low continues to move on out. Meanwhile, back in Manitoba, we'll see more sunshine start to come back to the south and parts of the north as well. But later on tonight, there's the possibility of both flurries and some rain showers up in the northwest. Best bet is that it will be around Lynn Lake, but it's not outside the realm of possibility further south in places like Flin Flon, the Paw, but also those are areas that should watch out for fog overnight as well. We get into tomorrow morning, more of a mix of sun and cloud here in Winnipeg and the surrounding areas, and that'll be where conditions generally stay throughout the day tomorrow. It will be another coolish day, although temperatures right around normal for this time of year in the single digits. We are approaching the end of October after all, but as we get into tomorrow night, you can see not a lot of activity. Still pretty cloudy in northwestern Ontario, clearer in Manitoba as we make our way into a Thursday morning where, again, not much in terms of any active weather, but we'll see temperatures starting to warm up as we get closer to Friday. For tonight, though, we could slip below freezing here in Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. Forecast here to drop to -1, partly cloudy late tonight. These stronger winds will diminish around 9-10 o'clock tonight. They should be fairly light overnight and in time for the commute tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds, 0 up to 7, again with light winds, although they will be coming out of the north again. Quick swing around the province up into the north, all across the north tonight. There's at least the chance of precipitation. Otherwise cloudy. Temperatures as cool as -6 in Churchill. Thompson down to -2. Cloudy in Thompson tomorrow with a high of 5 degrees. Gillem cloudy and around 4 degrees there. Now across the northwest, again, watch out for fog in many areas. And then tomorrow, there is the chance again of flurries or rain shower activity through Flin Flon, OCN, and the Paw, although the chance is low. Cloudy for the rest of the region. Fog possible tonight. Brandon as cool as -2, -1 in Dauphin. And then tomorrow, 9-10 degrees around the region. For Brandon, the normal high for this time of year is 9 degrees. Winnipeg in the southeast, best bet for fog is in Portage, Morden, and Winkler. Partly cloudy here in Winnipeg, down to -1. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. Highs still single digits between 7 and 9 degrees. Rain tonight in northwestern Ontario and strong winds, and you may see a little bit yet tomorrow as that low continues to pull further to the east. Our first weather photo takes us to St. Andrews in a lovely spot to enjoy the fall colors there. That photo is from Ivan, and this photo is from Debbie. Look how gorgeous this trail is. This is out in the Bridgewater Forest area, Waverly West here in Winnipeg. That's from Debbie. Send us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The CTV Skywatch Pick of the Day is brought to you by MJ the Musical at Centennial Concert Hall, November 5th to 9th.
If you push yourself too hard, then you're not going to be able to enjoy it as much as you had hoped.
Getting older doesn't have to mean putting away your travel plans. Coming up in Medical Watch, 4 travel tips for seniors to make your next adventure a smooth one. It's well known smoking damages your lungs, but a new study out of the University of Manitoba shows it could also be quietly driving up your blood pressure. Dr. Setor Kunicher, a professor and cardiovascular epidemiologist at the U of M, led up this groundbreaking research and joins us now to talk more about the findings. Dr. Kunicher, it's good to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
The relationship between smoking and high blood pressure has really been long debated, but your research confirms this link. I'm curious just how much of a risk smoking poses when we're talking about hypertension.
When you compare current smokers with never smokers, it's about 62% risk.
And does it matter if you're a heavy smoker, a light smoker?
Yeah, it matters. If you're a heavy smoker, the risk is higher than if you're a light smoker.
And this study is the first one to really confirm this link, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. It is. Previous studies have actually demonstrated conflicting results. Some studies have actually even reported that smoking is associated with a lower risk of hypertension.
So what makes your study different? I know you specifically took urine tests. Explain to me the importance of that when we're talking about the results and findings.
So we used cotinine. Cotinine is a chemical substance that is actually a reliable biomarker for tobacco exposure. It is a breakdown of nicotine, which is the main chemical found in tobacco. So we used, we measured blood samples of cotinine and then used that and we compared it with self-reports. So we were able to show that smoking as reported, which is smoking when self-reported, it actually underestimates the true association between smoking and hypertension.
Interesting. And one of the other really concerning findings, at least for myself when I was looking through the results, is the link that you don't need to be a smoker. Even non-smokers kind of need to be concerned about this because you found in your research that many people underestimate just how much exposure they have to tobacco, even if they don't smoke themselves.
Exactly, exactly. Even if you don't smoke, you're still exposed to environmental tobacco exposure. So, when somebody asks you if you smoke, you say you don't smoke, but you could still have been exposed to environmental exposure. So that's the most important thing is having an objective measure of smoking status. So that was really important for this study.
We know high blood pressure can increase the risk of a number of other serious health problems. stroke, even dementia in some studies now. How can doctors use your findings to maybe better treat or screen patients? Do you see a path forward with this?
So what we're saying is that because self-reports of smoking status underestimates the association between smoking and high blood pressure, we shouldn't just rely on self-reports alone. We should assess smoking status via an objective marker. And you may not be a smoker, but you may still be at increased risk of hypertension because of the passive exposure to tobacco smoke. So we are encouraging routine testing of urine and blood so that doctors will be able to get a more objective measure of your exposure to the environment, especially those people who are exposed to tobacco smoke in their workplaces here.
Some very interesting research. Dr. Kunicher, we want to thank you for sharing it with us tonight. It was great speaking with you.
All right, thank you very much.
Manitobans seem to be in line with the rest of the country in opposition to provinces charging for COVID-19 vaccinations. A new survey from the Angus Reid Institute suggests nearly 7 in 10 Manitobans disagree with provinces charging a $100 fee for the shot. That's the same as the national average. It comes after Quebec and Alberta ended free COVID-19 shots for non-high-risk people. Nationally, those who voted Conservative in the last federal election were more likely to support adding a charge for the vaccine. A spokesperson for the Manitoba government says there are currently no plans to change our province's policy, which fully covers COVID-19 shots for anyone 6 months of age and older. We're heading into shoulder season. That's the time of year in between peak and off-peak travel times. And if you're a senior looking to enjoy some time away, one expert has some tips to make sure your trips go smoothly.
As we get older, traveling can be a little bit more challenging because we have certain, chronic medical conditions.
Dr. Colleen Ridey with Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says the first thing to think about in retirement travel is medication. It should be packed in carry-on luggage along with a list of medicines you take and the conditions you have just in case you have to receive medical care away from home. Second, Ridey says to protect yourself from flu, COVID-19 and RSV during respiratory virus season through vaccination.
Maybe consider wearing a mask on the plane if you know you don't want to kind of get even just a cold can kind of put a damper on travel plans.
Ridey says to protect your legs and feet, compression socks can help, especially during long car rides when you're taking a long flight. She says you should also pack comfortable shoes, which are non-slip and supportive. Now, if you're traveling for more than 4 hours, make sure to stretch your legs and move your body.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Rush fans, there are now plenty more opportunities to catch the legendary band on its North American tour. Plus, a pair of Manitobans nominated for a prestigious literary award. All that and more next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Prism and Haywire.
A pair of Manitobans have made the list of finalists for the 2025 Governor General's Literary Awards. Real Ones was written by Winnipeg's Katarina Vermette and tells the story of two Mitchell sisters who must navigate the fallout from accusations their mother has falsely claimed Indigenous identity. And Small Ceremonies is a novel from Lake Manitoba First Nations Kyle Edwards. It's a coming-of-age tale about the highs and lows of a group of Indigenous students growing up in Winnipeg's North End. Both authors are finalists in the fiction category. The winners receive a $25,000 prize. Rush is moving closer to the hearts of fans across Canada. The band added Montreal, Edmonton, and Vancouver stops to their upcoming reunion tour. In total, 17 cities across the U.S. and Canada have been added to next year's 50-something tour, which is set to begin in June. Unfortunately, still no Winnipeg stop on the tour. Tickets for the new dates go on sale Halloween, which of course is October 31st. Well, have you noticed some of the fantastic Halloween houses in and around Winnipeg? We're looking for a Halloween house to feature on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. Now, if you think yours fits the bill, you could win a $500 gift card from St. Mary's Nursery and Garden Center and have the chance to show off your Halloween house live on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg on October 31st with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to our contest page at ctvwinnipeg.ca, fill out the form, and submit your pictures. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with MasterChef Canada. At 8, catch The Traders Canada, and High Potential is on at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The odds are that somewhere in the province you'll be able to see a group of them if you're out at the right time.
Strange lights in the sky over Manitoba. Did you see them? An explanation about what they might be after the break.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
5 degrees out there in Winnipeg right now. Cloudy, winds out of the northwest at 28 kilometers an hour. Right between our high temperature and our low one. Coolest temperature of the day was 4 degrees. Our highest was 7. Normal high for this time of year is 8. On this day a year ago, 21.7 degrees in the city. We drop below freezing tonight, down to -1. Partly cloudy. 7, 8 degrees the next couple of days under a mix of sun and cloud Wednesday, Thursday. Then up to 11. And look at the weekend. 15 in the sun on Saturday, 14 on Sunday.
That's more like it. Thanks, Colleen. Well, if you're an early riser, you may have noticed something unusual making its way across the sky, because that is exactly what happened to a CTV viewer in Zelena, just north of Roblin, who quickly snapped this photo. It shows a row of evenly spaced bright lights silently moving in a straight diagonal line. While it may seem like a scene out of the X-Files, it's actually much more likely that this person just witnessed several Starlink satellites shortly after launch.
Last year, they were kind of rare to see them just after launch because there weren't as many being launched. But now with every, at least twice a week, there is a new set going up, and the odds are that somewhere in the province you'll be able to see a group of them if you're out at the right time.
Scott Young from the Manitoba Museum's Planetarium says over the week, those satellites will slowly break formation and then disappear from view higher into the atmosphere. Pretty cool to get it on camera, though.
Twice a week, my goodness.
Yeah.
It's a lot going up there.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, that does it for us tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.